That's what's happening. That was my old 175 Yamaha, my original dirt bike that I bought brand new back in the early 70s. And it was in pretty good running shape until my son rode it. And he pretty much destroyed it in one day. He wrecked it and busted it up pretty good, including to catch the shifter lever on something solid that ripped it all the way down and ripped all of the internal linkage on the shifter linkage inside the unit. So it needs some internal repairs, not just a bent shift lever. Which brings me to the question today of, do you let, or what do you do when somebody asks you, can I ride your bike? Can I take it for a spin? What do you do? And that gets especially difficult when it's somebody in the family, say a brother or your son, or or somebody else that you're close to. Hey man, can I take your bike for a spin? How do you deal with that? What do you say? I mean, most of the time you'd say, nah, I don't think so. I mean, I've got a lot of money wrapped up in my ride, so I'm not real eager about letting a novice get on it and just take off. But I do have a couple stories for you. Now, back when I was a kid, my brother and I went in together and we bought a Honda Mini Trail off of another kid that lived down the street. He had bought it brand new, and for some reason he rode it for a couple years and didn't want it, and he sold it to us for a pretty reasonable price. So my brother and I both chipped in 50-50, and we bought this Honda Mini Trail. It was a cool little bike. 3-speed automatic, no clutch. You just let off the gas and click the shift lever down or up to change gears. I think top speed was probably 35, 40 mile an hour downhill. But it was a fun little bike. Now, it was designed that you could fold the handlebars down and you could turn off the fuel and a couple other little tweaks, and you could load it in the trunk of your car. Or, one person could easily load it up and you could take it with you anywhere you wanted to go. It was a pretty neat little kit. And I'm surprised that Honda doesn't make those anymore or anything comparable to it. Well, they just came out with this new one they call the Monkey, and it's just a little tiny mini bike. And I don't think it's anything comparable to the CT70, the Honda Mini Trail 70cc. The bike that we had. But anyway, we shared it, and of course I had brothers, so when you have brothers, you can't ride your motorbike around without them wanting to ride it too. That wasn't the problem. I had a girlfriend at the time, and I was in my early teens, and we were over across the street. We had all kinds of dirt trails that went through the field over there. It was private property, but nobody was ever around to claim it. They didn't do anything with it. It was just left to grow up. So there was, some dirt jumps over there and some hills and just some really nice straightaways, and where you could really open it up and get hauling. And we just loved riding over there in the field, and we had a maze of trails going all over the place. Well, we were over there riding one day, and there was a big dirt jump, and we were taking turns going off this dirt jump. My other buddy had a Heathkit Boonie bike. Now, it wasn't as laid out as the Honda Mini Trail. It was more of a mini bike with a solid frame, and I don't remember didn't have much suspension in the back. But the main thing about the Boonie bike was it had a big wide fat back tire for kind of going on the trails and stuff. And it was pretty neat, but we all were taking turns going off this dirt jump. Now, we were just kids, so we weren't like professional motocross or anything. We weren't sailing 70 feet in the air, probably only going, 8-10 feet through the air and off of this little jump and landing on the trail and then looping back around and hitting it again. Well, my girlfriend showed up, and she hikes back there in the field where we were, and she says, well, I want to do it too. Well, we were like, yeah, do you know how to even ride a motorcycle? And no, but I can figure it out real easy, I can do it, I can do it. So, like a dummy, I get her on the Honda and I says, here you go, you just click the shifter down and you just give it a little bit of gas and just take it slow and just go around this trail. It comes, loops back around, you come back here again. Well, she gets on the bike and she takes off. And she goes up to the end of the trail, turns around, and she comes back and she shifts gears and she's got the throttle wide open and she's heading right to the dirt jump. And we're screaming bloody murder for her to stop, and she just pays no mind to us at all and hits that dirt jump full on. Well, she sails through the air, and being a total novice and not having a clue what she was doing, landed directly on the front tire. Now, anybody that's ever rode a motorcycle knows if you're going to go off airborne and land on your front tire, you're going to have some issues, and that she did. She went over the handlebars and cartwheeled down through the field, all arms and legs flying, and the bike was bouncing along behind her. And when everything came to a stop, she got up and started bawling her eyes out. Well, being me, I wasn't so concerned about her as I was my bike. My Honda, the handlebar was bent, the shifter was all jammed full of dirt and weeds, and the back wheel was cocked out of alignment. And I was pissed. And I couldn't believe she would have pulled such a harebrained stunt as that, being that she didn't even know how to ride the motorcycle. So that was it for that. Okay, no more rides. None of that. No. Go get your own. A little bit later on in life, I had a 250 dirt bike. It was a motocrosser, and it was very, very quick. I didn't have it very long. Because I really wasn't into racing, and it was definitely a full race bike. I got it from a friend who actually raced flat track, and I didn't know the guy that rode the bike. He had been racing on the flat track and dropped the bike and was killed instantly when another bike hit him. So they took the engine out of this flat track bike that was built for racing, and they put it in this 250, a brand new 250 Yamaha motocrosser. And somehow I ended up with it, as his wife just wanted to get rid of it. She didn't want it in the garage. It was just a terrible memory for her. So she said, well, see if you can sell it for me. If not, just ride it and have fun with it. But if you can sell it, good, we'll work something out. Okay. So I had this kid come over, and I says, now, you can't ride the thing unless you know how to ride a motocross bike, because this thing isn't just your regular motorcycle. Oh, yeah, I know how to ride. Well, you've heard that before. He got on the thing and took off into the field where our trails were. And I'd say within 5 minutes, he came pushing the bike back, and the whole back fender was ripped off the thing. Well, I was pretty upset about that. I was beside myself. It's like, I told you. The bike was so fast, it had big knobs on the back tire, and when you cracked on the throttle, one of two things was going to happen. It was going to shoot a rooster tail 20 feet in the air, and you were going to go like a rocket, and in order to do that, you had to lean up on the handlebars, or if you didn't, the front end was going to come up in the air, and you were going to end up on your ass on the ground, and that's exactly what happened to him. He was totally unprepared for the torque that bike put out. Once it hit that power range, it was all over. It was off. So that was another experience where, okay, I'm going to let you take a ride on it, but just be careful. Yeah, that didn't work out well either. This Harley that I got here, I was at a party one time with some friends, and one of the guys there I was with, he had his daughter there with her, and I think she was about 17 years old. And she was pretty infatuated with the Harley, and she kept saying, well, someday I'm going to have my own Harley, and I'm going to find a biker to hook up with because I love riding, I just love riding. And I asked her, I said, well, have you ever ridden a motorcycle before? She said, no, I've never even, I've been on the back, but I've never driven one. Well, I asked her dad, and he said, all right. And I said, and now let me back up a little bit. I had put down a few beers at this time, so I wasn't feeling any pain. Otherwise, I probably would have never agreed to this. But I said, I can teach you how to ride this thing if you want. Well, her eyes lit up, and she got all excited, I got her to sit on it, and I showed her the controls very carefully. And most importantly, where the clutch was and how to use the clutch lever and how to stop. Because I see so many people that get on a motorcycle, novices that don't know how to ride, and they take off, and then they panic, and they completely forget about how to stop the thing, and then they end up slamming into a wall, a building, a car, or something out of control. So the first thing I taught her was how to stop. You've got to pull the clutch in, and you've got to hit the brakes. So we went over that. It wasn't a problem. The problem was once she got on it, well, they had a big open yard. It was all mowed. It was real level. The whole front yard was real nice. And I said, we're just going to do loops around the front yard in first gear, and you could just ride around and get comfortable with it. She picked it up real quick, and I think she made about 3 loops around the backyard, and then hit the driveway, shifted into second gear, and took off into the field behind the house. And I heard her going through gears, and I bet you she was going 45 mile an hour through the field on this bike. I was scared to death. I thought she was going to break her neck, total my bike, or something terrible was going to happen. Regardless, I couldn't get her off the thing. I think she rode for a good half hour before she finally came back to the house. And she was smart enough not to come back by the house because she knew I was going to stop her. She just kept avoiding the house and going around and around in the field. Finally, she came back. And she was thrilled that she was able to ride this bike. And I was pretty surprised, too. I really was. But later, I thought, boy, what was I thinking, Really, let a young girl get on your bike and first time that's never rode before. Luckily, that didn't turn out badly. But I know there's been a lot of situations where, novices have gotten on motorcycles and didn't know what they were doing, and it ends up very serious in a horrible disaster. That's a sad story. I learned how to ride a bicycle when I was just a kid, and when you're a kid, a young man on a bicycle, the first thing you want to do is put a motor on it or figure out how to make it better and more faster, more powerful. And you keep upgrading. You get the mini bike, and then you end up getting the dirt bike, and next thing you know, you're riding on the street with a regular old motorcycle. So you kind of graduate into that. But there's so many people that have had zero experience with riding, and when they do get on a bike, they're totally intimidated by it. And once they get going, they panic, their mind goes blank, they forget everything they're doing, and it ends badly. So, fortunately, nobody was ever seriously hurt in any incidents. Yeah, the girlfriend way back when on the little Honda Mini Trail 70, I think it just hurt her pride more than anything else. And why did she do it? I think just for attention, but it was just stupid. Anyway, guys, that's the story for today. Hope you like the videos. Give me a thumbs up. Come on, give me a thumbs up. Click the button down there. Share it with your friends. And if you haven't yet, subscribe, and I'll keep you posted on my latest videos. Until next time, cats, ride hard and die free.